The US had pilots, but the Pacific needed a warrior, a man too reckless to follow rules. He was expelled from college for drinking. He fought strangers for fun. He punched commanders, ignored orders, and lived like a man who had already cheated death 3 times. The military didn't want him. The battlefield needed him. His name was Major Gregory Pappy Boyington, the most brutal and fearless fighter pilot in U.S. Marine Corps history. The legend of the Black Sheep Squadron did not start with discipline or patriotism. It began with rebellion. Born on December 4, 1912 in Idaho, Boyington grew up with rage burning hotter than ambition. He wanted the sky, not rules. He boxed for money, broke noses for sport, and carried a belief that life was short, so it needed to be fast, loud, and dangerous. When World War II erupted, America needed pilots. But not every pilot could face Japan's deadliest weapon, the Zero fighter aircraft, a machine faster, lighter, and more agile than almost anything the U.S. had in 1941. But while other pilots feared it, Boyington studied it like prey. He had already flown in China with the legendary Flying Tigers, unofficially battling Japan before America even entered the war. There, in the skies above Burma, he shot down enemy planes with savage precision, but drinking problems, fistfights, and insubordination got him kicked out of the unit. In most cases, this was the end of a military career. But in 1942, the Marines were desperate, and desperate armies don't reject dangerous men, they recruit them. Boyington rejoined the U.S. Marines at age 30, older than most pilots, rougher than all of them. While fresh-faced recruits dreamed of medals, Boyington wanted only one thing: a squad of misfits who feared no sky, no enemy, and no authority. The Pacific War Zone was hungry for chaos, and he delivered a storm. By 1943, the U.S. needed to take back the Solomon Islands, a brutal chain of jungle death traps, surrounded by open ocean and patrolled by Japan's elite air force. Pilots stationed there didn't last months, they lasted days. In this death arena, Boyington was handed a reject group, unruly pilots, rule breakers, unfinished cadets, and troublemakers no other unit wanted. Their planes were outdated Corsair F4Us, powerful but hated by traditional pilots because they were hard to land and even harder to master. But to Boyington, it was perfection. Dangerous plane, dangerous men, dangerous war. He named them the Black Sheep Squadron, officially VMF 214, and told them the only rule that mattered: I don't care how you fly, as long as you kill them before they kill us. Discipline was non-existent. Bravery was mandatory. Their base looked like a scrapyard. Their barracks smelled of aviation fuel and rebellion. They ignored formation protocols, created their own tactics, and treated dogfights like bar fights at 20,000 feet. Within weeks, Japan began to whisper their name with dread. American command disliked them. Japanese pilots feared them. And history would remember them. September 1943 marked the moment Japan realized these weren't normal Marines. These were airborne predators. The Black Sheep Squadron began ambushing enemy formations twice their size. Boyington often flew drunk, hungover, sleep-deprived, or furious, sometimes all at once. He attacked head-on when others attacked from behind. He chased enemies into storms, over oceans, through anti-air fire inside clouds, and once directly into a sunrise to blind an entire squadron of Japanese aircraft before opening fire. The strength of the Black Sheep wasn't strategy, it was unpredictability. Japanese pilots trained to fight disciplined units. The Americans sent them chaos with wings. On multiple occasions, Boyington would radio his squad with words that sounded insane but worked every time. Split up. No formations. Everyone picks a target. Make it bloody. In 84 days of combat, this squadron, filled with outcasts and rebels, destroyed more enemy aircraft than some entire air groups managed in a year. Boyington alone began stacking victories like kill marks, climbing the rankings of American aces faster than command could update the board. But the legend of Pappy Boyington was never built on numbers. It was forged in moments where survival was impossible, yet he survived anyway. The defining day came on January 3rd, 1944. Intelligence revealed a massive Japanese aerial response being prepared over Rabaul, one of the most fortified air hubs in the Pacific. Radar interference, fuel limitations, and command warnings all labeled the mission a death sentence. The sensible choice was to abort. Boyington chose war. As his Corsair tore through the sky, 48 Japanese fighters waited. Zeros. Trained killers flown by seasoned pilots sworn to protect their empire at any cost. The odds were not bad. They were suicidal. The battle erupted like thunder. Dogfights fractured into splinters of fire, smoke, and falling metal. Boyington shot down his first enemy within seconds, then a second, then a third. But numbers have weight, and relentless waves eventually swallow even legends. Bullets chewed through his fuselage, hydraulic systems failed, alarms screamed, and clouds of smoke painted his cockpit. He was now a single jet against a sky full of doom. Those who saw the engagement described it like witnessing a hawk surrounded by wolves, the hawk still biting back. He fired until ammo ran dry. He maneuvered until engines choked. And when his battered Corsair could no longer fly, Boyington crashed into the ocean, disappearing beneath smoke and waves. America assumed him dead. The Black Sheep mourned him. The Pacific war machine spun forward without its most dangerous star. But death was not finished failing to claim him. Unconscious and bleeding, Boyington was captured by Japanese rescue forces. What followed was 20 months of starvation, torture, and psychological warfare in Rabaul and later Ofuna POW camp, a prison so brutal it was never officially acknowledged by Japan during the war. Prisoners there were ghosts to the world. No treaties protected them. No Red Cross visits were allowed. If you died there, history would never know. Boyington weighed nearly 200 pounds when he was captured. Within months, he was barely 130. They beat prisoners randomly to prevent hope from forming. They fed them scraps to prevent death, but never enough to fuel life. Boyington spent days coughing up blood, nights freezing on wooden floors, and months surviving on a mindset that terrorized his captors. You can kill me, but I refuse to die for you. He memorized the names of fellow prisoners so someone would someday speak them again. He tapped messages through walls and coded knocks. He challenged guards with eye contact when others avoided it. Prison guards later admitted privately, after the war, that Boyington terrified them because he stopped behaving like a man who expected to live. He behaved like a man who expected to haunt them. When the atomic bombs fell in August 1945, the war ended within days. Japanese guards vanished. Prison gates opened. The walking skeleton of a man stepped into daylight, pulled a cigarette from someone's hand, lit it, inhaled, and said, "Took you long enough." The world discovered that the legendary pilot was not a story. He was alive. America brought him home a myth made flesh. In 1945, President Harry S. Truman placed the Medal of Honor around his neck, the nation's highest military award. The citation recognized not only the 26 aircraft he personally shot down, but the ferocity, leadership, and relentless audacity he displayed in the Pacific sky. Boyington didn't smile. He accepted it like a man who believed his fallen brothers deserved it more. Decoration dinners, parades, interviews, magazine covers. None of it interested him. The war had carved a different man out of the legend, one who knew the price of glory in names that never made headlines. Still, his legacy grew larger than any runway could hold. The Black Sheep Squadron became immortal, not because they followed orders, but because they redefined air combat. Boyington became proof that heroes are not always polished, predictable, or easy to command. Sometimes the fiercest warrior is the one the system almost rejects. He passed away in 1988, but fighter pilots still speak his name like a storm. Because in the brutal theater of the Pacific War, where thousands of planes burned and thousands of men vanished, one message remains undisputed. Japan feared America's industry, bro, but they feared Boyington more.